Let's look at some research-based instructional strategies. Self-monitoring is a strategy that teaches students to self-assess their behavior and record the results. Even though it doesn't create new skills or knowledge, self-monitoring does increase or decrease the frequency, intensity, or duration of an existing behavior. Self-monitoring of attention is great for students who might be easily distracted, get up from their seats, bother other students, or fiddle with objects. The student can monitor the frequency or duration of these behaviors. Self-monitoring of performance is appropriate for students who need to monitor some aspect of academic performance, such as the rate at which they correctly complete classwork or the overall accuracy of their performance. It's especially useful for building fluency. There are 5 steps in self-monitoring. First, we select a behavior to monitor. That behavior must be specific, observable, appropriate, and personal. It's important to remember that when students are allowed to help select the behavior to be modified, they are more likely to consider the task important and become more engaged in the self-monitoring process. The second step is to collect baseline data. Teachers can collect baseline data in many different ways. They can use duration recording for things like staying on task or remaining quiet, frequency recording for counting the number of correctly worked problems or the number of times a student raises her hand, or interval recording for things like listening, paying attention, staying on task, or remaining seated. Once baseline data are collected, the teacher should graph the results. Collecting baseline is crucial, but this is a step that's often skipped. This data allows the teacher and the student to compare the behavior prior to and after implementation of the self-monitoring strategy. The teacher needs active and willing cooperation from the student if self-monitoring is going to be successful. Now the teacher is ready to begin teaching the self-monitoring procedures. The process is a simple one that takes a little time to implement. You just explain where and when self-monitoring will be used, and then teach the actual procedures used in self-monitoring. The teacher defines the identified behavior specifically, and the student models the desired behavior. Then the teacher models the problem behavior and the target behavior, and lets the student identify which one is the desired one. Next, the teacher explains when and how to record the occurrence of the desired behavior on the self-monitoring form. The teacher role-plays the above self-monitoring procedures with the student, and then specifies when and where the student will self-monitor behavior. And last, monitor independent performance. The student keeps track of the identified behavior on a self-monitoring form. The student or teacher can plot these data on the same graph where the baseline data are graphed, and then compare whether or not the self-monitoring has been effective. This helps the student see the improvement in his or her behavior. For more information, you can check out these resources and the additional resources that are in the Blackboard shell.